at one point I saw a guy setting up his tent in the middle of the trail. He had this big orange North Face tent. I saw the logo on the tent. And I thought, that's so bizarre. Like, there's campsites all over the place. Why is he setting it up in the middle of the trail? And as I got closer, I realized it's just a rock. And that sort of thing happened over and over again for the next 12 hours.
That's insane. And was it like a fun experience or like a scary experience?
At first, through the night, it was a little spooky. Like, you're just not used to that. So like you're not sure what you're seeing. But during the day, I started to realize that, everything I see might not be actually there. And so you're thinking about it more rationally, but the hallucinations are so vivid that it tricks you every time, but it's not as scary during the day.
Right.
But it's a complete trip.
Right. Welcome to the Driven Dad Podcast, where we celebrate dads that live with passion and lead with purpose. On this show, we'll host some dads that live incredible lives. Being a dad is the most important job you'll ever have. Get inspired by our amazing guest dads that refuse to live life in mediocrity and live epic lifestyles with their families. Welcome back to the Driven Dad Podcast. Today I'm sitting down with Cam MacKinnon, former national team cyclist, ultra marathoner, strength coach, and above all, a dedicated husband and dad. We dive into his recent 100-mile ultra, what it really takes to perform at high level in sports and business, and how he's built a deliberate, adventurous life with his family at the center. Cam, welcome to the Driven Dad Podcast.
Wow. Thanks for that intro, and thanks for having me.
You're absolutely welcome. And I think it's, although it made you smile, I think it's also a conservative intro with your background and your history of all you've done in your life. So I'm really excited to dive into everything we'll be diving into today. Obviously, we know each other. We've been friends for a long time, but I've always been a fan of yours for everything you do, specifically on the sport aspect or on the side of the challenges that you set yourself or that you put yourself in. So I'm really excited to dive into that and for you to tell all those stories to our listeners.
Well, I really appreciate that. Kind of humbling coming from you. And that's... I really appreciate that.
It's absolutely my pleasure. So let's get right into the point or the story that I'm most intrigued into you telling our listeners, because I've had the pleasure of listening into some of your experience in your most recent ultra marathon. So you've completed the Chigi Ultra most recently. I was there also, but doing a much, much lighter version than you've done. So tell us about that 100-mile ultra marathon. Walk us right through from start to finish.
Yeah, I had done the same race that you did the year prior, so the 50K or one loop. And I thought over many years I've wanted to do 100 miles eventually. I've done quite a few ultra marathons of varied distances, but 100-mile tends to be the pinnacle. So it was always in the back of my mind, but I wasn't in a rush to jump into something like that because anything I do, I want to take with some seriousness and put my all into it. So I was patient in when I would eventually step onto a 100-mile start line. So the catalyst for that race really was because we have so many people that were at Chigi. So we had that we knew so many friends, and it was probably 10 or 15 people in the 50K that we knew.
That was my favorite part of the whole weekend, is just being there with everyone.
Yeah, and like we started talking about it months ago, and like when you mentioned you, John, your brother, Renee, Dom was originally supposed to do it. I'm like, I can't miss this. Like I got to be there, and I thought about it more and more, and I thought, it's a good time to maybe step up in distance and go for like possibly the hardest challenge of my life and sign up for a 100-mile. So that's what I did. And
so walk us through like the beginning, the middle, and the end of the race. I want to hear all the details.
Yeah. So the year prior, running the 50K, I spent quite a few miles with a guy. His name is Joel from Nova Scotia. And he had sent me a message a week before and said, hey, do you want to share some miles together? We ran together last year. I'm doing the 100-mile as well, or the 3-loop as well. And maybe we can team up and kind of help each other through the night. It gets lonely out there. He's done 7 of these, by the way, so he's super experienced.
Wow.
And so once he contacted me, I thought, like, yeah, I'll definitely take advantage of, some coaching along the way, someone who's very experienced. And so he met me the night before. We decided we're going to start together and see where it goes.
He met everyone the night before.
Yeah, he's a super social guy. Like he's very forthcoming and
yeah. Just for our listeners, this guy Joel went up to I believe everyone that was in the parking lot camping the night before, and basically just went up and said like, "Hey, I'm Joel, and I'm doing the 100-miler."
Yeah, and he has like an infectious spirit.
Yeah,
like he's a very like I said, social guy, and I think he does it for the challenge, but you could tell like he's really good at making new friends, and I think that's probably a big part of it for him.
Yeah, for sure. It was cool to meet him.
Yeah, totally. So we met. Shiggy, the 3-loop starts at midnight on Friday, which is a challenge in itself. So I woke up for work early that morning, worked most of through the morning and to the early afternoon, and then kind of rushed to get to Advocate Harbor where the race takes place to get signed in, drop off your drop bags where you contain all your like nutrition and other supplies that you need. And so it's kind of a rush day. You don't really have time to chill out. You work and then you make your way to the area where the race is. It's about 2 hours from Moncton. So get there, and then I decided to set up a bit of a camp, have some food, and see if I could sleep a little bit at some point through the evening. Because once you're settled, it's 6, 7 o'clock. You have about 5 hours till the start line or till the start time. But it's just, you're kind of playing the waiting game. You're nervous for what's coming. It's a big challenge. So it's really hard to kind of settle your mind and relax and possibly fall asleep. So, I don't know if you remember how windy it was. So you had that nice van to shack up in, but I was in a tent in the parking lot, and I don't think I really slept at all. It was about, 3 hours of lying there just thinking about what was coming, but
just the anticipation is enough to keep you awake.
That's
too,
it.
right?
Like, it sounds funny for someone that's never done a challenge like that, but I don't think your mind really knows the difference between doing a race for fun and like a survival event.
Right.
So the way like the fight or flight response kind of takes over, it feels like it's a really, really big deal. So it's really hard to calm down.
Getting ready for war.
Yeah. And I've been competing since I was young. So like I have tons of experience, but you never get a full grasp on it. You're always a little bit nervous and so basically tried to relax a little bit. Then alarm went off half an hour before the start and made my way over, got dressed. It's really cool because the organizer of the race gives, I think it's called I can't remember the name of it, but he gives a speech essentially, like
the blessing or something.
The blessing of a trail runner or something like that. But it's really neat. He wrote it himself, and
did he write it himself?
Yeah, it is.
No way.
It's his original.
Oh, cool.
Sort of writing, and it's kind of like a poem.
Yeah,
and that kind of gets you pumped up, and then you're off, and we're going through the night. It's midnight. You try and settle yourself down, not run too fast because you can't even comprehend how long that's going to be. So just kind of settled in with Joel, who I'd mentioned earlier. I asked him a lot of questions. I tend to ask a lot of questions to people that are more experienced than me. I try and learn as much as possible. So I asked them lots of questions about how to pace it exactly. Do you take planned stops? Like what exactly you do to structure the beginning of the race to ensure that you have the best opportunity to have a good day or good weekend, I guess.
Right.
But yeah, and kind of settled into a pace and tried to take in as much nutrition as possible on a schedule. I tend to try and control as many variables as possible. And in something like this, an event like this, it's quite chaotic in that there's always something. There's problem solving that occurs throughout the event, but tends to come a little bit later. But I try to control as much as possible early on with nutrition, with pacing, with hydration. If you get a little rock in your shoe and it's starting to bother you, stop and take care of it right away. Don't let it kind of manifest into a bigger problem later.
Right. It's crazy how, and I've learned this with my limited experience in longer distance races like that one, but it's crazy how the fractional things compound into a massive problem or a massive challenge down the road when you're talking about events that last 8 or 16 or 24 or 36 hours. It's insane compared to, like, let's say a 5K. If you have a rock in your shoe, it's like, suck it up.
Exactly.
Let's go.
Yeah, totally. Like you could have, your sock isn't positioned right and you're starting to get a hot spot in your shoe. That could turn into like massive amounts of blood and a blister that's
right.
That could stop you. Like there's no way you can walk on it, kind of thing. So you have to, it's kind of an interesting comparison to life. Like problem solving, taking care of things before they get out of control. And yeah, it's probably one of the most important things of running 100%. Races of this distance.
And I'm sure you're going to get into this, but it made me think of something that I thought about during my race. When you said a comparison to life, my favorite part that I really enjoyed was going through the highs and lows. And I feel like that's a really cool comparison to life, because when you're in the lows, you're like, there's no fucking way I'm getting through this. Like, it's impossible.
Right.
There's no way I'm at, kilometer 35. There's still like 18 Ks to go. Like, there's no way I can do this. 5 kilometers later, you're like, let's go.
Exactly. Yeah.
I'm on fire.
Exactly. And I think everybody goes through that, that does these sort of events. Is like, it's very rare that you have a perfect day where everything goes right. Like, you always have a low or some sort of, like I said, problem to solve. And obviously life's like that as well. Like, you're not going to get through life unscathed. You're going to deal with things. You're going to have things that you didn't plan for disrupt your plan. So I think that's probably something of value that I get from these races, is it breaks it down. It's not life or death, but it's something we care about, is doing these sort of events. And there's a lot you can take away that you can carry over to other parts of life. And it sounds cliche, but it's absolutely true.
It's 100% true. I agree. Yeah. Yeah. So you're in the race. Just to give everyone perspective here on this race specifically, every loop is 52 kilometers. So Cam did 3 loops. So one interesting thing that I want to ask you is, like, when you were doing the loops, it kind of gives you the option to quit, right? Because you're back to your car, you're back to the parking lot where everyone is. Did it ever cross your mind as you were going through the first loop into the second loop and then the second loop into the third loop? Did it ever cross your mind that you had the option to quit?
It honestly didn't, because I made an agreement with myself leading into it that I would not stop unless it was for a medical reason or something that was just, like, definitely not worth continuing. But if it was discomfort or like even a minor injury or something like that, I had already committed that I wasn't going to stop. And I think that's pretty important, because it's easy to have that frame of mind when everything's going well and you're fresh and you're not fatigued. But when you're really, really tired, your mind starts playing tricks with you. And you can get into the kind of a point where you're negotiating with yourself.
Right.
And I just made it, I kind of promised myself that I wouldn't stop under any safe circumstance. So if it was reasonable for me to continue, I was going to continue. Okay. So it never crossed my mind. No.
Okay. And once again, just to give everyone perspective on this race is not like running in a field or in a manicured trail. This is, imagine, one of the most challenging hiking trails you could find, with a lot of routes, a ton of ups, ton of downs. Total elevation per lap is, I believe, 2,200 meters, approximately, something like that. So running or doing this trail in an ultra marathon format is probably beyond most people's comprehension of like what the human body is actually able to go through. So I just want to kind of add that to add to how insane what you completed is.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I've done quite a few ultras throughout the Maritimes, in Quebec, and I think this is the toughest overall, like 50K course that I've raced. It's relentless, as you know. Like, there's a dirt road section that's maybe a kilometer long, and it feels like the only relief you really get. Otherwise, you're on single track at the very least, and then like very technical, chunky, hard to find a rhythm trail for almost its entirety.
So before we keep going in your journey of that race, I want to know, like, prior to the race, how'd you prepare for this? And also, like, during the race, what did your nutrition look like hourly, let's say?
Okay. So preparation for the race, like I try and stay in good, reasonable shape all the time, but I'm not too excessive with any one thing unless I have some sort of event I'm training for. So, training for the Shiggy Ultra, I probably did less mileage than a lot of people that would have been on the start line. I have to be time efficient. I'm fairly busy as a business owner, father. So I have to be efficient in how I build training into the rest of my life. So it'll sound like a lot, but it's really not that much compared to some of like Joel or some of the more elite ultra runners in the area. Like, I ran anywhere from 80 to 110 kilometers a week. A little bit of gym time, but I really cut back on that to make sure I had enough time to run. A lot of trail running. I'd get out to local trails as often as possible, but sometimes you just don't have the time, so you'll just run around the regular DIEP paths and just trying to accumulate time on feet that way. I'll do a little bit of intensity to make sure I don't lose the speed. That's quite important for any distance, just having a speed reserve. And I'll try to mix in some interesting stuff like hiking with a weighted vest, or long hikes with the family, and turn it into what feels like a long day on the trail that can benefit you for long races. But that kind of lasted about 6 to 8 weeks. It was a fairly short build, and we were a little bit disrupted with the fires we had and the drought over the summer.
Yeah.
So that closed the trails for a little bit. So that was a little bit disruptive, but also a lot of us had the feeling that the race wasn't going to happen. So that section of Nova Scotia, that region of Nova Scotia, was restricted to any sort of trail access. So where the race took place, up until I think it was 2 weeks before, maybe less.
Yeah.
It wasn't going to happen. So I don't know if that played with, motivation a little bit. I kind of maybe was more relaxed than I usually would be going into
I feel like we held that as a safety net of like, that's probably not going to happen.
Yeah,
and then when
too.
They called it, like, it's happening.
Yeah.
I remember thinking like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Like, I'm actually going to have to do this thing.
Yeah. It flipped a switch for sure.
Yeah.
Maybe too little, too late, but I had a decent enough prep that could get it done. But not ideal.
Right. So someone training for an ultra marathon or an ultra trail, specifically, putting in some time in the trails, in some techie terrain would be your suggestion. What about like gym stuff? Like, would you suggest integrating some strength stuff, like maybe walking lunge or weighted lunges,
For
step
sure.
ups?
Yeah, definitely. Especially we live in a fairly flat part of the world, part of Canada. Like, we do have some hills, but they're only the biggest climb we're going to find is a couple 100 meters in elevation gain. So you can cheat that a little bit with exercises in the gym, doing, step ups, weighted step ups, walking lunge. a lot of eccentric loading. So what gets a lot of runners in longer races is the uphills are tough, but it's actually the accumulation of downhill running. So obviously the weight is multiplied when you're running downhill. So your body weight is multiplied of what's actually landing on your foot and then redistributed through the rest of your body. So you can cheat that a little bit by overloading some weighted exercises. It'll build some muscular endurance and strength reserve that you can use on the trail.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that. I think that was a takeaway from my training too. Like next time I do an ultra trail run, I will definitely add in some weighted lunges and step ups and stuff like that. I did Chad 1,000 step ups the other day, and it's a 45-pound rucksack, the RX workout. And I thought right off the bat, I'm like, frig, I should have integrated this like every few weeks.
Right.
Like, it would have been great training, stepping up, stepping down. It's like you said, you have that kind of downward motion at the same time too. So
exactly. The sport is running, so you absolutely need to run for training, but you can definitely get a huge benefit from doing something like that.
Right. So during the race, what does a 1 hour of nutrition look like? Like how many carbs you consume, what type of food you eat during a race like that to keep you going, keep you energized?
So in a shorter race, I do all liquid nutrition or something like maple syrup, which is just really easy to get down. So no chewing whatsoever. And I'll aim for somewhere around 90 to 110 grams of carbs an hour, which is, it's on the high end, but that's becoming the norm. And when I was approaching this longer race, I wasn't so sure. So I had done quite a bit of research. I've coached people for these longer distances and helping them build a plan. And everybody's a little bit different. Some people take in solids. Some people will take like a sandwich or something like that, or tortillas with Nutella or whatever else, just to kind of fill the stomach, I guess.
Right.
Me, I do not tolerate that well. So I thought I would be okay. So I'd planned that I could always have some solid food with me, but I ended up doing the entire thing, almost all liquid nutrition. So
really,
yeah, just scratch that they had on course as my main electrolyte drink. Lots of maple syrup, probably way too much. And I don't want to have it again for a while. And Coke on course. So I was probably more like 60 to 80 grams of carbs an hour.
Yeah.
But so kind of on the lower end for a shorter race, but I think plenty for a long race. And I had 0 GI issues. So I wouldn't necessarily recommend trying to follow that plan, but it works for me.
Okay. I feel like that's one of the most important parts to experiment on your own, right? Like to try things, like sign up for events, try one thing, sign up for another event if you have to fine tune what you tried last time. For me, the maple syrup or honey as the sugar source works way better for GI issues than going towards like the actual like pure sugar route,
right,
or the sucrose route. That gives me a bit of like gut rot and digestive issues, but maple syrup and honey's worked really good for me in my experience.
Right, and it's basically single ingredient. So there's other additives that are in a gel, for instance, like they have to, there's often sodium, but there's different types of fillers and such. So some of that stuff could be having an impact as well. So it's also nice to think that you know exactly what you're taking in.
Yeah, 100%. All right. So this is the part of the race I'm most excited for you to tell me about. You've told me about it a little bit, but at what point, like hour wise or kilometer wise, did you start with hallucinations?
Okay. So I'll back up a little bit. So Joel and I were running together, and we finished the second loop. We were leaving for the third loop. Okay. And
how many hours in?
So this would have been 22 hours in.
Wow.
So we're going into the second night. We're fairly sleep deprived at that point.
So just to refresh everyone's mind on what's going on here, Cam started at midnight, and he's now going into his second night at 22 hours in.
Right.
Keep going.
So Joel and I left for our third loop, and we were running together. And he started to feel very, very tired. So
Okay.
it was almost at the point where he just couldn't continue to run. So he said that he was going to stop and take a nap right on the trail. And he told me he was going to stay in the middle of the trail so that way someone could wake him up if they came by. So I thought, okay, do you want me to go ahead? I asked him and he said, yes, go. So I went on my own, and that was the first point in the race that I was alone. So I ran, tried to keep a pretty good rhythm, ran and walked, tried to keep a pretty good rhythm for a few hours. And I saw, like, I had a kind of a hard time navigating at a few points because you're not sure if that's actually the trail. You're starting to get very fatigued. And I saw that someone had hung up a kite in a tree. So just like a typical kite that you'd fly. And it was a panda bear with these big, long, kind of fingernail, or yeah, I guess paw nails, and kind of flapping in the wind. And I thought, that's weird. Like someone hung that up for the runners, I guess. And I was thinking, like, it's kind of scary. Like they shouldn't have done that. Like it's going to freak some people out. And as I get closer to it, I just realized that it's just a tree and its leaves flapping. But the visual of it was so vivid that I would have bet money that what I saw was a kite. And that was the beginning of it. And it basically didn't stop until the finish.
Crazy.
So I at one point I saw a guy setting up his tent in the middle of the trail. He had this big orange North Face tent. I saw the logo on the tent. And I thought, that's so bizarre. Like there's campsites all over the place. Why is he setting it up in the middle of the trail? And as I got closer, I realized it's just a rock. And that sort of thing happened over and over again for the next 12 hours.
That's insane. And was it like a fun experience or like a scary experience?
At first, through the night, it was a little spooky. Like you're just not used to that. So like you're not sure what you're seeing. But during the day, I started to realize that, oh, everything I see might not be actually there. And so you're thinking about it more rationally, but the hallucinations are so vivid that it tricks you every time, but it's not as scary during the day.
Right.
But it's a complete trip. Like,
Right.
yeah.
And didn't you look it up to see like what happens like inside your brain
Yeah.
for the hallucinations
Yeah, exactly.
to happen?
Yeah, I read a little bit about it, and from what I read, it's different parts of your brain, different synapses will essentially shut down and take, for lack of a better term, micro naps. So the other parts of your brain will fill the void of what it's seeing. So you're not visually seeing it through your eyes, but your brain is creating an image that you're sure you're seeing. So that's why it's so realistic. And I'd have to read a little bit more about it and kind of break down the science of it, but I found that pretty interesting.
That makes sense. That's cool. That's so awesome. Makes me want to almost do 100-miler.
Right.
Not quite.
Maybe one day.
What do you think makes you want to do hard things like that? Like, what is it that feeds the urge to do something, to sign up for an event like that?
Yeah, I find that like being introspective and trying to figure out why is pretty tough. Like I'm not sure what the like root is. I just know like what I get out of it. So I find first of all, I'm someone who does really well with focus and like focused on a goal, focused on financial goals, focused on business goals. Like having a concrete goal really helps me. So I've kind of been drawn to different events for that reason, in that they're very difficult. It's something that, when everything else is going on around your life, you still have that one thing that gets you out of bed,
Right.
that kind of helps you focus. And it for me, it doesn't take away from any other aspect of life. It kind of helps every other aspect. So I find when I have an event coming up and I'm channeled in on that event, I'm also doing a little bit extra in business, or I'm also trying to spend more time with the family. And so I think for me, it just makes my overall life better. And yeah, it's really hard to say like where it comes from.
I find that super interesting, and I would agree. Like I feel the exact same way. When you have that thing to focus on, I feel like you're firing on all cylinders in all aspects of life, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Like if I don't have, like, it's nice to have some downtime. Don't get me wrong. Like right now, no events coming up, probably backed off training a little bit, still living, healthy lifestyle, still train almost every day, but it's a little bit more relaxed. And I like that kind of in and off season or through the winter, like just enjoy some other things with that extra time available. But like you said, like when it's time to get going and firing on all cylinders, there's something that happens that it's a really nice feeling.
I think that's worth noting, that you're highlighting that you do have downtime.
Yeah.
Intentionally.
You
need that, although it might not be the time of the year that you thrive the most. You know that you need it to thrive for the next event coming up.
Yeah, that's me personally. Like I know people that seem to never stop.
I don't know. I guess we can't comment on how everyone feels. However, I think anything that seems unsustainable is scary to me.
Right.
So no one's a superhero. You might be able to keep going for longer than me, but eventually that means you're going to crash, right? Like if a person goes without a break in any aspect of life, if he's going all out in anything, that to me scares me. If you're going all out on events, like you have 4 massive events that you do all year long, you might be able to go for like 3, 4, or 5 years, but then you might stop for 3, 4, 5 years and do nothing and be out of shape and, depressed, or, and it's the same for nutrition or someone that parties, like if you party once every few months, that's sustainable. I'm not saying it's healthy, but it doesn't necessarily destroy the other areas of your life. Same as, someone that never cheats on nutrition. That's great. Like today, your results are probably insane, probably amazing. But I'm like, what day is that going to end on? Like that's what's in my mind, right? There's an end period to that.
Right. Yeah, I totally agree. I like to think that I'm quite balanced in other areas of my life, and that is definitely a big part of it, is not trying to go all in all the time. I believe I'm fairly mentally tough. I don't have to prove that to myself all the time. So I make sure to take some downtime. I'm always exercising. I'm always eating fairly well. I'm trying to do the right things day in, day out for the future, longevity, just feeling good, but not excessive all the time. And maybe it's because I had more of an excessive professional lifestyle in sport that I saw that side of it where you're all in all the time and it wasn't sustainable. So as you get older, you have other responsibilities, you're running a business, you have family, like I want to be able to do this till the end, like whether that's 90 years old, 75 years old, whatever. I just want to be able to keep doing like fun things and definitely keep it sustainable as long as possible.
Yeah.
And going all in, I don't think that's necessarily possible. There will be a breaking point at some point.
Right.
But everybody's different, and
yeah,
it could be proven otherwise.
I believe that another important thing is the habits that you've built over many, many years and many decades at this point, right? Like you've built some habits which have become just a way of life, which has built like a strong foundation for your health and your fitness, where that has become like ultra sustainable and just a way of life. So that doesn't weigh heavy on you, but it kind of maintains a certain level of health and fitness all year long. And then you can kind of like ramp up and back down to that on a regular basis.
Exactly. Like I would have friends or clients or people I meet that would look at like my day-to-day lifestyle and say, that's excessive. Like that's crazy. Like that's unsustainable, but it's just the norm for. Like,
and I think that's something that everyone can build up to, right?
Exactly. Yeah. It doesn't start from zero. It's a gradual process of, maybe preparing 2 meals a day, meal prep ahead of time. And then, just getting in a workout every second day and extending that where it becomes more and more the norm.
Yeah.
And then from there, you have a new normal and you have a new sustainable level and you build on that.
Yeah. And I think what happens is people don't realize how good they can feel if they start adapting that one little habit at a time, right? Like someone not working out, going from 0 to 1 workout, will find out like, That's kind of cool. Like I feel energized after a workout. Someone that starts eating better is going to be like, I really feel a lot more energy, and I'm seeing, some fat shred off my body. So you discover every time you adapt a new healthy habit, how good that makes you feel, which makes you hungry to feel even better every day. And I think that's what keeps you from going back to old habits eventually, right?
Exactly. And I think that's my favorite part of my day job, like as a personal trainer, is if I have a new client that doesn't really have a fitness background, doesn't really know where to begin with nutrition, and you start getting them acquainted to these good habits. And, they might start training 3-4 days a week, but that's from scratch. And they start to see the change, and you see their demeanor change. You see their confidence change. And so, like, I'm coming at it from a perspective of someone who's always kind of been involved in sport, always been reasonably healthy by whatever standard you give it. But when I see someone who's starting from scratch and then I see the progress they make, and if they stick with it, it's incredible. Like, and it's really neat to see them carry it over to other parts of their lives as well.
Yeah, I agree completely. So you mentioned kind of like your previous professional sports career, so we can use that as a segue to cross over to that. So it's another part that I find really compelling about you is basically in your early 20s, your cycling career that you've had. So walk us through kind of like how you got into that and what type of experiences you were able to go through that cycling career.
Right. So I started as a hockey player, first of all. It's like I played hockey from 4 years old on, and stopped playing when I was about 15, and wasn't really doing anything competitive for a year or so. And my brother actually started dating his now wife. Her brother was a coach of a national cycling development program. So my brother kind of pushed me like, hey, you should go like check out that program. And I was kind of into mountain biking, but just for fun. Like I just go for rides, and we'd build a jump in whatever, the front yard, and kind of just play around with it. But so I started with that program, not really having, any other sort of sporting focus, and just kind of started on a whim, didn't know a whole lot about it, and ended up having a lot of fun with it. And the way it works is there's a few different disciplines of cycling. There's road cycling, mountain biking, and then track cycling. And I always thought, oh, I'll mountain bike race, like mountain biking, super fun. But I ended up getting kind of pushed in the direction of track cycling because it fit my physiology better. And track cycling is an obscure sport. It's not well known, especially in the Maritimes. But it's basically you race on a wooden track on a fixed gear bike, and it's all like high power output, basically maximal sprinting. So it suits people who are naturally fast, kind of naturally strong. And I got kind of pushed in that direction. And then it happened very quickly that I started racing national championships, and then eventually made a junior worlds team. So junior world championships for the Canadian national team. And it was kind of all happening by accident. Like I didn't know anything about this sport before I started, and I was kind of learning on the fly, but it all happened very quickly. And from there, it was just kind of like, I'm getting kind of paid to travel the world and go to these World Cups, and I'm seeing the world on someone else's dime. I was very competitive, so I was always someone who was competitively driven, so it kind of suited my personality. And yeah, from there it was just a very interesting lifestyle that I didn't anticipate ever being possible or ever happening, and kind of fell into it by accident, and I'm very thankful that happened. But yeah.
Do you think that kind of set the tone for the rest of your life?
For sure. I think like as a hockey player, like I was driven, like I cared, but I didn't have that like true like work ethic and grit that I think it requires to be great at anything. And I learned that through track cycling. I learned that once, I was surrounded by, like, I was training alongside an Olympic medalist, and one of the coaches is a world champion, and it's kind of infectious. Like they're the best in the world at what they do. And I'm very fortunate that I'm from Calgary, Alberta, and they had an awesome world-class program that helped develop many, Olympians and very high-level athletes. So I learned kind of that from being immersed in that sport, and that was where I kind of developed habits and things that I can now use in the rest of my life.
So you really saw the value of like being surrounded by people that are, I guess, better than you at things, or that have way more experience than you, and that can guide you and push you to do the things that they've already accomplished, essentially.
For sure. There was just so much experience and so much knowledge from some of the older members and those who had already achieved pretty big things. And like for the most part, everybody was so helpful for the younger guys coming up. So guys and girls coming up. So yeah, it was definitely beneficial, and it definitely I feel I'm coachable, and I ask a lot of questions, and I like to learn. So it was just the right environment to progress.
Right. I feel like that's something a lot of people misunderstand or devalue, I guess, is to be in the right room when you're striving for to achieve anything, whether it's business or a professional sport or high level sport or something like that. I think naturally a lot of us, maybe everyone, has a tendency to enjoy being the best in the room, right? Because it's instant gratification. You're the best. Wow, how'd you do that? That's awesome. However, if you really want to, go above and beyond and be better than average, you have to keep positioning yourself as, the worst person or the dumbest person in the room, right? I love the expression, if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. I constantly think about that because it's uncomfortable to be the dumbest person in the room or the less, physically fit person in the room. It's super uncomfortable, but that's how you'll, level up and keep achieving big things.
Exactly. You might have to find that room. Like you might have to go outside your comfort zone and seek those people, because it doesn't always fall in your lap. So making an effort to put yourself in an uncomfortable situation and try new things, that goes a long way in helping to discover these sort of people that can help you.
I think that goes back to my question about why you do hard things, even like physical feat. I think if you do them on a regular basis, it's kind of like what you say, what you get out of it. It's hard to describe in words, but I think the effect is you put yourself in those uncomfortable positions, and it reminds you of the magic. Like every single time you do it, it reminds you of the magic that you get from being in that uncomfortable position. So whether you're, in that room where everyone's smarter than you or everyone's better than you, or you're just in a position where you're doing a competition or a race that you don't know if you're actually going to be able to finish it, I think continuously putting yourself in those positions is where the growth really happens. And the only way to know that is by continuously putting yourselves in that position, right?
Exactly. It reminds me, I'll go back to Joel Taylor, who I ran the majority of the Shiggy Ultra with. I asked him, because this was his 7th or 8th 100-mile, and I said, "Why do you keep doing this? Like, what's the purpose?" And he said, "We're just recertifying. That's all it is. We're just recertifying." So cool. He was kind of alluding to like getting a recertification on something that he was already comfortable with, but it's just a reminder, like this is why we do it, and he clearly gets a benefit from being at the start and finish line of these events. So.
Something about almost dying that makes you feel alive.
Exactly. Yeah.
And something that I wanted to mention too is it's freaking mind-blowing that, don't get me wrong, your 100-miler is insanely impressive, but in the ultra marathon world, a 100-miler is almost like the beginner race now.
It's become that way. Yeah. There's 250-mile races and multi-day events where you have a crew and you're sleeping multiple times through the event, and it lasts a week. And it goes beyond that as well. And like a backyard ultra, like the records that are being broken are unbelievable. So these are events where you basically leave every hour on the hour and you run 6 point something kilometers. I'm not sure, but it equates to 100 miles every 24 hours.
Right.
And these guys are going now, I think it's like over 700 kilometers or something like that, without ever really stopping for more than 10 minutes, 15 minutes. Like,
Man.
I have zero interest in that.
Well, it's concerning, like, for long-term effects, right?
Right.
To me, because I love to move, like, I'm in love with moving my body on a regular basis. I would never want to risk, not being able to do something because of one race.
Yeah, there's something that makes you think like how, going back to sustainability, like what are the downward effects of that? And
Yeah.
like,
And you have to accept certain risks,
Sure.
like
Of course.
whatever you're going to do, right? Like a lot of people, we do a lot of mountain biking. So a lot of people comment on that to me anyways. Like they're like, man, you guys are nuts or whatever. And there's two parts to it. Like we built up to that level. Like I would have thought I was nuts also if I would have looked at me from 10 years ago, right?
yeah,
So we built up to the level we're at today, but also I'm okay with the risks I'm taking. I'm okay. I obviously don't want to hurt myself, but if I crash today and I break something, I'm okay with that. I know it's part of the risk. It's part of the sport. And I'd rather live and feel fucking alive for that 2 hours of biking every week than to sit home and be like, well, that's dangerous. I'm not going to do it. And just like not live fully, right?
oh, exactly, yeah, and there's ways to do it as well. Like I know you take big risks. Like I've seen the stuff you do, but you're a calculated guy. Like it's not blind. Just huck yourself off of something and hope for the best. Like you're skilled enough to do 99% of the things you attempt.
100%. I think that's a really good point, actually. It's something I believe in, like in my own head. I tell myself that story. And I think going off of how you feel that day is a huge thing too, right? Even if I did this jump once or twice or 10 times already, if today I feel weird about it, it doesn't mean I have to do it, even if I've done it many times, right? I'm like, you know what? Today I feel shitty. Like I just don't feel like I'm a good biker today. I'm going to stick to the easy stuff and just have a good time.
Yeah, exactly.
Like no ego, right?
Yeah, it's like it's intangible, but you have a feeling that's telling you something.
Mm-hmm.
And like humans are intuitive often. Like we if we pay attention to these things, it can sometimes save us from having something major happen. And I think that's important.
100%. And I think it's worth kind of noting, like, as far as being a dad and a parent, like a lot of dads put limitations on themselves when they become a dad or they become older. Whereas they don't feel like the risk is worth it to go mountain biking or snowboarding. And I think I had that era where I started my business and I was like seeing the risk of me getting injured and not being able to show up on a daily basis. And then at one point, a few years down the road, I'm like, holy shit, like I'm actually not living, like not doing all the things that make me feel alive.
Really, I don't even like knowing you so well. I wouldn't be able to picture that point in your life.
Yeah.
Like I don't remember.
Yeah,
I see you as like trying new things all the time and kind of living a very adventurous lifestyle. I'm actually surprised to hear that.
Yeah, I think I had like a closed-minded kind of gap when I started my gym in 2013. I was really narrow-minded and narrow-focused, and I went all in. Like it was kind of like I have to make this thing succeed, and that was my sole focus. I worked hard. I worked long hours, and I think two things happened. Like I got to a certain point where I was like, you know what, like this is going to work. Like I've built it. I have a team, I have a strong community. People support me. I'm making, enough money to pay the bills. So I think that gave me confidence to restart living my life and doing the things I really enjoy doing. But I think a lot of people they kind of veer away from things that they used to like when they were, in their teens or younger. When adult life hits, you kind of focus on, I don't know, making money and starting a business or, stuff like that. And then you notice at one point, like, oh, right, like I really, really enjoy mountain biking and hiking and traveling and, doing all these things. And that's what happened to me is I kind of just like had a moment of like focusing on that one thing, which was my business, and forgot about all the fun things for a second.
Right. And maybe at that point in your life, like that's what was required. Like to get the business off the ground, there's a lot of new things to learn. There's you're taking on a certain amount of risk. Maybe that's what was required. And then once you were more comfortable with your situation, then you can open up your eyes again to everything else you love.
I think you're right completely. I think you're right. And there, like, although I'm a massive fan of a balanced lifestyle, let's call it that, where you have a lot of fun, you do all the things you love to do, you spend time with the people you love and your friends and stuff like that. I think you're right. Like in most cases, when you do start a business specifically, you need to buckle down and, get shit done for a certain phase, whether it's 6 months, a year, a few years. And actually it made me realize, like, I think that's probably why I hesitate in jumping into a lot of things later on in my life, where I'm not so ready to sacrifice all the fun things anymore and all my time with the people that I love and stuff like that. It's an interesting reflection.
Yeah, yeah. And you're at that point now because you've taken care of all those other things and you've gone through, you've owned different businesses and you're now financially stable, and the opportunity, like you took on, like you worked very hard, you took on those risks, you kind of built the life that you're able to live now. Like it's not by accident. Like it's, being self-employed is awesome. It gives you, freedom to set your schedule day to day. It gives you a lot of things, but it's also a different path where there's a lot of work that goes on behind the scenes that maybe other people don't see. And it's like you all of that work is finally starting to pay off to where you can Wednesday afternoon go for a mountain bike ride with your buddies and that sort of thing. But like there are periods in any business owner's life where they absolutely cannot do that. And it's nice when you get to that place when you can kind of take advantages of being self-employed. But I think you paid your dues along the way.
And I think that hustle is necessary in appreciating the after effect of that hustle, right?
Absolutely.
Once you've experienced the hustle part of like putting in the hours, making huge mistakes, burning through money, once that's all said and done and the dust settles and you're reaping the benefits of all your hard work, it feels so good because of all that hustle that you've done, right?
Totally. And you get to the point where you want to maintain that now. And like I remember how that was, but now you're kind of living with some extra freedom. Like you want to keep that because it's infectious. Like it's an awesome way to live.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. So you guys have traveled recently to Sweden?
No, Switzerland.
Switzerland.
Yeah. So the Swiss Alps,
Okay.
Switzerland and the French Alps. So Switzerland and France, and yeah.
So talk to me a little bit about traveling like with your daughter. How's that like compared to traveling with no kids before?
Yeah. Well, a lot of my travel was for a purpose. So I traveled a ton in my 20s, all with sport. So saw like it would be like 10 countries a year kind of thing, like a lot of travel. And that's really what I knew of traveling, because I didn't travel a lot when I was younger. I didn't really have that opportunity. And then kind of fell into that lifestyle that allowed me to travel a ton. And now like traveling with family it's completely different, but it's so enjoyable. Like just watching my daughter kind of experience all the things you take for granted when you're traveling, and like the new things that she'll see, whether it's just hopping on a plane, like
It reignites the excitement of traveling.
And I get excited because like I see how much fun she's having and like what she's getting out of it. And now I'm kind of living different experiences through her eyes, where maybe I would have looked at it selfishly in the past. And so that experience has completely changed. Obviously, like you can't do everything you want to do when you have kids with you. Like not every opportunity is available when you're traveling, like whether it's say nightlife or like going to a nice restaurant with your wife, just you and her. But
Or climbing massive peaks.
yeah, exactly. Like you have to, temper your risk there
Mm.
when you have, a 7-year-old with you. But but like I love it. Like I just want her to be able to travel more and more. Like I want to keep trying to expose her to that.
Yeah, there's something really cool that happens like when a family goes on vacation. There's this like massive disconnect from, I guess, reality, like all the distractions. There's no school, there's no daycare. I try to keep my phone in the hotel room or whatever, out of sight. And there's this authentic connection between the family because it's like you described, there's this special feeling, that this magical feeling that you carry during that whole vacation. And having kids or living it through your kids' eyes just amplifies that a whole lot.
Totally. Yeah. That's like the main value of it, I think, is like it's you get away from your normal lifestyle, your typical responsibilities. If you can shut off, awesome. And yeah, you're right. It has this feeling to it. I don't know how to describe it, but exactly that. Like it's like your memories are imprinted stronger. Like everything is just, yeah, it's just a different feeling.
Yeah,
like
100%.
there's a magic to it. I don't know what you call it, but
Yeah, I agree. Did you guys enjoy the trip in the Alps?
yeah, like selfishly, I've always wanted to go to the Alps. Like there's a small ski village called Chamonix, and it's considered the birthplace of alpinism. So I've watched lots of videos. I've read articles, read books about this place. There's the largest ultra trail race in the world is called the UTMB, Ultra Trail du Mont Blanc, and it starts and finishes in Chamonix. And the race is you circumnavigate Mont Blanc, which is 176 kilometers around. So I've kind of been infatuated with that place without ever having gone.
Right.
So we got to spend 4 days there. I kind of snuck away from the family a little bit, ran up some mountains, and then
cool.
we did a bunch of family hikes and all the typical like gondola stuff, and like it was amazing.
Right. Oh man, there's just something awesome about traveling with family.
Totally.
Do you guys use like a strategy to make sure that you commit to trips like on an annual basis or like a couple times per year?
Yeah. My wife would travel every 2 months. Like she loves to travel. She doesn't really hesitate with, hey, let's book this trip. Let's spend this money. And I tend to be the more conservative one. So she'll come up with the ideas and then I'll get on board. So that's usually how it ends up happening. And when she suggests something, like it's a bit of a discussion and then I'm all in.
Okay.
Like, let's do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's like the opposite in our household. I come up with the ideas.
Okay.
And there's only like 1 out of 25 that I go through. Maybe my ideas are a little bit like more on the extravagant side.
Let's fly around the entire world.
We're actually we're going to Costa Rica this winter, so that's like our upcoming trip. Super stoked about that. The kids really enjoy going in kind of warm climates, like just beach days, and not having many plans is pretty cool. I'm more of the type to adventure travel, like go visit places, go climb this, go bike this, whatever. But kind of like you said, like when you have kids, you can go anywhere as you want to. You just have to, I believe you have to plan wisely to enjoy it to the max with kids with you, right? When you have your kids with you. So I think there's certain types of vacation where, yeah, you can go with your kids, but it's not necessarily the greatest idea at this time frame, at this age that they're at, right? However, if you go on a slightly different trip that you might not like desire the most as far as your personal interests, you might actually enjoy it like way more because that's appropriate for the time in your life right now where your kids are 6 years old and they really enjoy playing in the sand and in the water and stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly. Like we did a Disney trip 2 winters ago. We went to Orlando, and like that wouldn't be first on my list, but my daughter was like out of this world thrilled, right? And it turned into an awesome trip. Like I wouldn't necessarily choose that for myself, but like being there and like how seeing it through her eyes, like I said earlier, that made it incredible.
Yeah.
By the way, are you going to surf in Costa Rica?
Every single day.
Okay. I was going to say.
I might even just buy a surfboard and leave it there after.
Yeah.
But my plan is I only have like a couple of things planned. So I want to live like a local. Like I really love that style of traveling. So we rented a house, not like a resort or a hotel or whatever. So we have a little house and I want to go get our food at the local market. I want to rent maybe like a moped.
Oh, that's so cool. Yeah.
And if I can get one with a surfboard rack on the side and just every morning go to the beach with my moped, with my surfboard.
This is very
like
on
that.
brand. That's what I would expect.
Man, I would live like that. Like every year I would do a trip like that. Just go to somewhere's to live like a local, right? I love that style of traveling. I feel like you really slow it down. It's not so much of a vacation where you try to get everything in, cram everything in, see everything. You go there, you maybe spend a little less like on where you're going to stay, like make it more of a sustainable way to travel for a longer period of time. And you don't necessarily like I said, chase all the attractions, but you just slow it down, live like a local, talk to the locals, visit local places, find things that aren't on the tourism website necessarily, and really just you get to enjoy kind of the little gems of that place that you go explore.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah, but I can't wait to surf. You're right. I'm kind of scared though. I think the waves are pretty big there.
But you surfed before, right?
Yeah, but surfing's like it's a special thing. Like I'm not a surfer.
Right.
I probably surfed like, I don't know, 20 times, like 20 days in my life, something like that.
That's
so
quite a bit. Yeah.
I can get up and I can ride the wave, but
like
I can't.
on a short board, get up.
I would say
board?
like medium to long is where I'm comfortable at. I've never carved a wave or like barreled a wave or anything like that, but I think I might take a lesson.
Right. I think surfing might be the hardest board sport. Like,
I think I would agree. Just getting up is pretty damn hard.
Like snowboarding does not transfer to surfing whatsoever. Like it's a totally different feeling.
Yeah.
Maybe powder. I don't know. But it's like, I found surfing so difficult. Like skateboarding and surfing, toughest board sports.
You know what I discovered like later on in life is never underestimate the power of taking a lesson.
Right.
Even if you're old.
Totally. Yeah.
What have I taken a lesson? Or we went to Hawaii on our honeymoons. It's been like 6-7 years now, but we wanted to rent paddle boards. And to rent a paddle board, you had to take a lesson,
like
1
for
hour
safety
lesson.
reasons.
Yeah, to cross the reef, they had to show you like where the channel was to cross the reef where it's safe. So I was like, fuck, I don't really want to take a lesson for paddleboarding. Like it's dumb. You just stand up on a board and you paddle. It's super easy,
Like
right?
it feels like paddleboarding is pretty straightforward.
Well,
you can usually get up. Oh, on a flat lake, you can get up the first time you try it.
Exactly.
It's not surfing.
Yeah, that's the perception I had in my mind is like, I don't need someone to tell me how to stand up and just paddle, right? But afterwards, it was one of the coolest things we've ever done. Like I'm a way better paddleboarder that I would have ever been because of that 1 hour. Just the simple techniques I learned from that guy was freaking awesome.
And that's local wisdom. Like they probably know how to read the water differently, and that reef is there, and make sure like there's so many other things they probably showed you.
100%, just little things. But that kind of opened up my mind. Like if a simple thing like stand-up paddleboarding, if a lesson can help me out that much in establishing a good foundation, imagine like the more techie sports, right? So like now my kids like for snowboarding, and I know you guys are the same. Like for snowboarding, like a lesson from an expert, your kids are going to fast track times 100 compared to just like going with the flow and, putting in reps and learning when you fall. Like if you get your kids in a lesson for something technical like snowboarding, the learning curve is like exponentially faster.
For sure. And if nothing else, they might listen to someone else more so than they listen to their own parents, right?
Absolutely.
There's some value in that.
Yeah. Do you guys have any snowboarding trips planned for the season?
Nothing concrete. Like we're going to go with the flow, see how the winter is. But we had talked about Amqui just the parents, right?
Yeah.
So that's probably going to happen. And then beyond that, just try and get out as many days as possible if the weather holds or if the weather's good.
I have my fingers crossed.
I think we're going to have like a blowout winter.
I feel that way too. Positive thoughts.
Send it up to the gods.
That Amqui trip. So for the listeners, we take a parents trip. It's been a tradition for, I don't even remember. I feel like it's going like close to a decade now. Every winter we book this trip to Amqui, a local, well, it's 4.5 hours from home, so it's kind of local, and we get the best conditions every single year. It's like an automatic assumption. It's like we're going to Amqui, it's going to be sick every single time. But my favorite thought, like this year, we almost didn't book it because we're like, well, we're pretty like busy, like invested financially and time wise in Costa Rica. It's 2 weeks. Bigger expense than usual for a winter vacation. We might skip Amqui this year. And then one day I'm like, man, we're so stupid. We need to get that trip going. Like that trip is special every single year. And it's kind of become a staple of like parents gone wild. Like we don't party or anything anymore. We barely drink a beer, but it's more like just hopping in the car with no kids, no thoughts, just like being free and enjoying the weekend, like waking up early to get first chair and to get the first tracks and the best powder and just not worrying about anything aside from like what time you want to go for a coffee in the lodge.
Yeah, totally. And we never get to live like that, or we rarely get to live like that. So getting away for a weekend, yeah, like it's so awesome.
Something a lot of parents kind of tend to put aside, right? Because it's easier to just be like, well, I have to get babysitters, and like it's something that's challenging to plan. But I think if parents put a focus or an importance on getting away and doing something they really, really enjoy doing, it's important to keep having fun when you're a parent and when you're an adult. It's something people forget about, right?
Yeah, for sure. Like I think we both like value living fun experiences, and then like doing it for yourself or doing it just with your friends or your spouse. Like that's important, in that you kind of, you're able to carry that back to the family eventually. Like if you're having fun on your own with your friends, you're more excited about the next time you bring your kids snowboarding, right? Like, or whatever else you're getting them involved in. So it's super refreshing. It kind of like re-energizes you for getting back to regular life and the grind and whatever else. Like you need that time away, or I need that time away. I think you need that time away.
I think you hit the nail on the head when you said the benefit is when you come back to real life, exactly. Right? And that is it carries over to your health and fitness, right? Like I know I don't have to drill this into your brain, but when you take care of yourself, it is not selfish. It's selfless, right? It's selfish if you ignore that, because if you bring yourself to your family as a better person because you took care of yourself today, because you went for a run, you went to the gym, you did whatever you want to do to take care of your fitness, you're going to be a better person once you step back into your household, right?
For sure. It like immediately in the short term, just having more energy, and you'll probably, pick up that baseball bat and go play with your kid in the yard or whatever it might be. Like if you have that kind of lifestyle for yourself, like, yes, maybe you're taking a half an hour away from the family here if that's what you have to do. In the short term and especially the long term, like you are leveraging your health to not be a burden for your family later on as well. Like I think it's just like, just do it. Like you're going to be more energetic. You're going to be happier. There's so many benefits that come along with it that I don't think you should ever look at it as a selfish thing. And then also your kids see what you're doing. Mm-hmm. Like if you can involve them, awesome. And they're more likely to carry it into their adulthood. And yeah, I'd never look at it as a selfish thing. There's excessive, like you can do too much. You can be away from the family, maybe too much. That's possible. But like in the it's a selfless thing, like you said.
100%. So in your experience in training all of your clients, how many years have you been a personal trainer now?
Going on 14.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in your 14 years of being a personal trainer, do you see it as something that people have a hard time understanding, that it is a selfless act? Like, is there a lot of people that feel bad in investing time in themselves for their own health and fitness?
Initially, I think there can be some of that, especially people that are very busy. Like I work with a lot of, like, I would say clients that have success in other avenues of their lives. And initially, because it's such a drastic change, if they have young kids, they might feel that, oh, I'm taking away that hour, or I'm whatever it might be. But I usually push back and kind of reiterate some of the things we had talked about. And I think once they get established, they start to realize, like, oh, I'm just a happier person. I can tolerate, when my kids are freaking out one day, because, like, I'm just a little more calm for my workout. And they start to see the benefits, but you can't tell them. They have to experience it. They have to live it. So it tends to sometimes take some time with certain people. Other people are on board right away. They're just like, you tell them that, I think you're going to feel better. I anticipate that it's going to carry over to other parts of your life, and they're on board right away. Like, they're committed. Other clients might take some time to have that own self-realization.
So if you'd be talking to a busy dad or a busy parent about effective ways to train and what's an effective training program, how many days / hours per week should you be ready to invest in yourself to see the benefits of being healthy, being fit, gaining energy, maybe losing fat if you need to lose fat? What are some key things to look for when you're building that habit into your life?
Like someone that's starting from absolute scratch, just doing something even every second day. So having a day of recovery in between whatever they choose to do. If they're starting on a strength training program, or a combination of strength training and some sort of cardiovascular running or cycling or something like that. Just building a habit of trying to get something in every couple days. So 3-4 times a week, kind of as a minimum. I think that's kind of the requirement for the beginning of health benefits, and then it can go from there. But I try and encourage, like, again, this is someone starting from scratch, someone who might have a bit more of an athletic background, or they already train at the gym. I try and encourage them to do something every day, maybe one rest day a week, but it doesn't have to be a lot. It just has to be consistent. Consistency is everything. And having a schedule goes a long way. So it's easy to tell someone, like, you can get up in the morning and do, 10 push-ups and 20 squats and do it every day, and it's something, but you got to put it on paper. You have to be accountable to a coach. You have to be accountable to your own planning. I think having kind of relatively non-negotiable schedule goes a long way.
You're a very routine person, right?
I'm very routine. Yeah. Yeah.
Do you believe that that's led you to your success, like both with your physical challenges, like your races and stuff like that, and business, financial successes?
For sure. Like, I've always needed structure. So without structure, I feel kind of in chaos or a little bit lost. And that's not excessive structure. It's just being disciplined with different avenues in my life. So, like, I'll be disciplined with working out. I'm disciplined with what I eat most of the time. I tend to eat the same things, a few meals a day, over and over again, with a little bit of variety, just trying to be consistent with it, take the decision out of it. But yeah, definitely being, disciplined with finance. So making sure I'm investing a certain amount every 2 weeks over the long term, like non-negotiable, like that has to be done. And, once you do that over a long period of time, you start to see kind of the fruits of that discipline, and then it becomes easier to maintain. But yeah, 100% having a routine schedule for certain personalities, like mine, it's essential. I don't really know how I'd function without it.
I think, yeah, it might go well with your personality, but it does apply to every single person. I love the thought discipline is freedom.
Absolutely.
If you are disciplined in every discipline of your life, it will bring freedom into those avenues at the same time, right? It's a structure, it's a plan, it's a sustainable habit that you do every single day. But I think that's a cool like thought to keep in mind when you're debating, you know, if you need discipline, if you need structure in certain areas of your life, to keep in mind that, you know, discipline equals freedom on the long term.
Absolutely. And I think some people don't even necessarily realize that that's possible. Like being more disciplined equals, like if you're more disciplined with your finances, you know, from a young age, you start accumulating some sort of wealth through investment, but you start young, you're periodic with it. You have absolute financial freedom later in life, but you have to be disciplined. You have to say no to certain things early on. Maybe you're not getting a new truck every year type of thing, but it definitely pays off. And it does, it's the same thing with fitness, and the same thing is it's the same thing with taking care of your health, in that if you're disciplined with your nutrition and you're disciplined with your, like making sure you're living an active lifestyle, getting some sort of deliberate training in, you have the freedom to do whatever you want. You can go to Amqui and do a 12-hour day on the hill or a 10-hour day on the hill. You can,
Right.
you know, like it's you can climb that mountain that everyone says like, oh, you can't get to that in one day. Like it gives you the opportunity to experience things that without that discipline, you're not going to be able to experience.
It's funny when you think about it in every single avenue, like finances or fitness or whatever, the society pushes you to go the other route, right? Because, you know, society sees success as big houses, nice cars, flashy stuff, the instant gratification type thing. Same as when you're sitting down and, you know, you're with your work colleagues and you're eating chicken rice and broccoli, they're gonna make you believe that, you know, that's the weird route to go. But in the end, the person that maintains their discipline in all those avenues is going to be the one that comes out on top. It's just society is kind of rerouting you or rooting you towards the other path, right? Whereas, you know, if you're eating chicken, rice, and vegetable, you're not living today.
Right.
You're like depriving yourself of the good stuff because you're not eating a poutine or a burger every day or whatever. And if you're not buying that Mercedes, man, you got to live, buy that car, you know, instead of saving $200 a month and putting it into your TFSA. You got to buy a house, a big flashy house at 25 years old instead of living in a more conservative house, which in 10 years after that will put you in a position where your financial freedom is, you know, at an incredible spot.
Exactly. Yeah. It has the opposite effect. Like you live outside of your means. Well, you've just spent away all of your freedom. Now you have to say no to that trip. Now you just miss out on so many possibilities. But I get it. It's not for everybody. Like some people like nice things. I like to spend my money on experiences. Like what can I kind of what's intangible, like a trip, and then I don't really know how to explain it, but it's like living that experience. And it doesn't mean like last year we bought the whole family snowboards because that facilitates an experience. It's a family activity together. It's not cheap. It's expensive when you are kind of buying for the whole family and getting fully equipped. But like I personally don't have any problem with that because all of the awesome things that come as a result of it, all the awesome days on the mountain as a result.
Yeah. I think all gear falls in that category.
Totally. Yeah. I spend way too much money on gear, but I never feel too guilty about it.
There's like a few things most things I'm very disciplined financially on. And then there's a few things it's unlimited budget.
Right. Exactly.
It's a funny line there.
Yeah.
My wife doesn't always agree with that one. So I want to ask you, I know you've lost your mother in 2023 to cancer. And I want to ask you, when you deal with difficult things like that in your life, everyone goes through something similar, some difficult challenges. What do you rely on to come out of that dark time in your life? Is there people or things that you like to practice in your daily habits that help you come out of something challenging like that?
Well, first of all, I have a amazing support system. Like I have a great family. That was a huge part of it. Just having, someone to rely on in tough times goes a long way. So I'm super fortunate for that. But again, like dealing with that whole process, like my mom was sick for a few years, kind of as the pandemic was hitting its peak. She was diagnosed with cancer and then went through different treatment protocols along the way and kind of had the ups and downs through those treatments and then eventually passed away in 2023. One thing is like you want to spend as much time with them as possible. There are other things that come along with it. Like you have to take care of logistics for them in the medical system. You have to be at least a part of their support 100%. And I found being disciplined in other parts of my life kind of brought everything back to a sustainable level, if that makes sense. So I still trained every day. I still worked almost as much. I had to take some time away here and there, but I made sure to keep doing the things that personally made me happy, made my family happy, and not lose who I was, even if you're in a really difficult time. And again, it comes back to that sort of discipline and routine. It just gives you something to fall back on in the worst times. It has a value. I don't know really how to explain it, but something else to focus on. Funny enough is after my mom passed away, like you go through kind of the grieving process and it's a difficult time. But I signed up for the Elgin 120 mountain bike race just as something fun and positive to look forward to. And again, that's probably where I tend to go towards is finding an outlet, physical outlet, something to take your attention away from other difficult areas. But I think there's value in that for everybody. Like if you're going through a difficult patch, like you have to absolutely take care of the things that are essential, but don't lose yourself and try and find other outlets that make you happy. And it makes the whole process a lot more tolerable in the worst circumstances. And like there are things that are terrible in life, but I mean, just having a little bit of that sort of thing to fall back on, I think goes a long way. At least for me.
I like to believe that when everything is going good in life, you are training for when things are about to get bad.
I think about that all the time. Like, I don't know why, but I totally agree.
I think that's what I like to think that we're getting ready for.
Right.
And that's what I repeat to some of my clients often is, it's not if something's going to happen, it's when. Whether it's like for yourself or someone in your surrounding or, it could be anything. That's just life. It's like no one cruises through life on high speed and like everything's going super well. Shit's going to happen.
Exactly.
And you need to build a strong foundation. And in those times, you're probably not going to be peaking, like personally. There's going to be some dips in your performance and your, the way you feel, the way you're showing up every day. But you need to create that line where you never cross. You never like go below this line of expectations for yourself. And to be able to create that, it's months and years of preparation, of establishing habits, of building a foundation to go through those tough times.
I think there's definitely something to that. Don't dwell on the possibility of all the bad things that could potentially happen, because that just creates anxiety. But being prepared for anything, when you're physically fit, that does have a psychological benefit, a mental benefit. So yeah, I would agree 100%.
That makes me think back to of like when I started my first business, my gym, my CrossFit gym. I had been doing CrossFit for like 2 years or so prior to that. And at that time, starting a business was probably the most difficult thing.
Only 2 years.
Yeah. Something
really?
like that.
Okay.
Yeah. 2010, I think, like end of 2010, I started CrossFit. And then 2013, I launched my gym. And at that time, it was probably the most challenging thing I'd ever done in my life. I was 24 years old, and learning a lot and grinding a lot, putting in 15, 16-hour days, Monday to Friday, working on weekends. And I clearly remember thinking often, like on a weekly basis for sure, that CrossFit had taught me that even though you think you're going to die, you're still going to live. So I carried that frame of mind into my business, where at the time that was the most challenging thing I'd ever done. There was a lot of uncertainties. I was like financially scared of my investment, putting in long hours. I was tired, all those things. And I remember thinking like, I'm going to end up on top at some point. Like I'm going to come out of this thing.
Law of attraction.
But without having put myself into difficult situations before, which was CrossFit for me, like tough CrossFit workouts, like, long, grueling workouts with heavy weights and, long durations and a lot of reps and stuff like that. Without having done that on a physical point of view, I would have been way weaker mentally to go through the rest of the stuff.
Yeah, it's so interesting. Like, yeah, doing difficult things, like it definitely extends to things you don't expect.
100%.
Yeah.
I think that kind of explains a little bit about what we were trying to explain on like the ultra marathons and stuff like that. I think that's one valuable lesson and tool that it kind of gives you after the fact, is knowing that whatever you're going through in life, when it's tough, even though you think you're dying today, you're still going to live and, come out of it. A good night's sleep is all you need. And
Exactly.
You're good to go. Listen, Cam, I really appreciated you coming on the show to talk about all your experiences. I look up to you personally as a human, as a dad. I really appreciate you being the dad that you are and inspiring everyone around us. I know you probably don't know this because you're so humble and I guess detached from this a little bit, but there's a lot of people that look up to you, and it was a pleasure to have you here to share a bit of your story.
Oh, thanks so much. It's awesome what you're doing, building this platform, and I'm so happy to see your idea coming to life and the success you're already having with it. And likewise, like I look up to you a lot, and I really appreciate our friendship.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that, Cam.